Welcome to today's class. Today we will be talking about supplies management. What is supplies management? Supplies management basically is also referred to as procurement, and this is the act of identifying, acquiring, and managing resources and suppliers that are essential to the operation of an organization. Supply management includes the purchase of physical goods, information, services, and other necessary resources that enable a company to continue operating. So as you can see, supply management is very critical in any organization. And if you want to survive in the dynamic business environment, you must be able to embrace supply management in your organization. This will allow you to be able to have a competitive advantage over other organizations within that particular area or that particular industry. So supply management allows the organization to be able to get the necessary resources. And when you talk about resources, what we must ensure is that the organization has the right resources that will enable it to work either efficiently or effectively. And this, at the end of the day, will ensure the organization is able to operate more smoothly and will ensure growth in the organization. So what are some of the goals of supply management? One of the goals of supply management is cost control. So you're able to control your cost within the organization. And once you control your cost, therefore, it means you're able to reduce some of the issues when it comes to costs. Remember, cost is very critical in any organization. And if you want to continue making profit, you must be able to reduce your costs as much as possible. The other important thing is the efficient allocation of resources. So how can you achieve cost control? You must be able to ensure your resources are allocated in the best way possible and efficiently. The other important thing is risk management. You must be able to analyze your risk in an organization. And organization has very many risks. So supply management will allow the organization to be able to control the various risks that may arise in an organization. The other goal is it allows the organization to effectively gather information, and this information will be used in strategic business decision. So the information you get from your suppliers and your other stakeholders is very important for the organization. Therefore, supply management allows the organization to be able to gather information. And information, remember, is one of the aspects that is very critical in any organization. And this information, you can either use it to your advantage or to your disadvantage. The other thing I'm going to talk about today is material planning, which is also important in supply management. So material planning is the integrated material management of environment planning and getting the materials from the starting point for the whole material management function. So you must plan for your materials, and to ensure free flow of production activities, you must be able to plan for your materials. So material planning sets out the procurement function and the subsequent material function rolling. So material planning will allow you to focus more on ensuring continuous flow of production. And at the end of the day, you become more competitive in your organization. So material management is derived from the overall organizational plan. So you realize every organization has its own plan. Under that plan, we have the material plan that the organization must take care of. We have other plans which may include financial plan, procurement plan, operational plan, human resource plan, but also material planning is very, very key. So what are some of the factors that affect material planning? One of the factors that affect material planning is price trends. So you realize prices keeps on fluctuating. Sometimes the prices are high, sometimes the prices are low, and this can affect your projections when it comes to material planning. The other factor is the business cycle. You realize we have different cycles of business, and one cycle can be different from another cycle, and this can affect how you do your operations. The other thing is government imports and export policy. So if the imports are too high, then it means it's going to affect how business behave and how businesses operate. And if we have a lot of exports also, it will also affect how the businesses are going to react on exports. So this will affect the business and will also affect the material planning process. The other thing is the credit policy of the government, which is very critical. You realize some businesses are surviving on loans or borrowings, and these borrowings sometimes can be very challenging to businesses. So it's always good for the government to come in to ensure that there is that environment, a good environment for borrowing for both businesses, and this will create financial support for the businesses. The other factor that is very critical is the micro factors. Micro factors are factors that are within the organization, and the organization is able to control these factors. And some of these factors sometimes are also called controllables. So one of the factors here is corporate policy on inventory holding. So the policy that you come up with will affect how you do your business, how you do your material planning. The other important aspect is production plan. What is the production plan? So before coming up with the material planning, you must go back to production department so that they can give you the production plan, and this will provide a projection on how you are going to order your materials. The other one is investment. How much you've invested your money will also determine your material planning. We also have lead time on procurement. Lead time basically is the time between ordering and delivery of goods. And it is very important for an organization to be able to shorten the lead time so that at any given time you have the materials that are required for production. The other important aspect is inventory levels. You must come up with a concrete inventory level that will not lead to oversupply or under supply of a particular material, or overstocking and understocking of a particular material. Then we also have the working capital. Working capital are some of the factors that drive the business. For example, inventory is a working capital. When you have a lot of inventory, therefore, it means you are very safe as an organization in that production will be flowing. At any given time, you have the raw materials that you need so that production will be up and running. The other important aspect is seasonality. So we have those products that are seasonal in nature. For example, umbrellas that are seasonal in nature. So it's always important for you to focus on seasonality items. For example, maize, it has a particular season. So during that season, it's always good for the organization to have a lot of storage facility so that you can store. In the event the season is over, you already have enough stock to last you for another season of the same item. And the other thing is delegation of power. So delegation is all about the spreading power or sharing you can give power to one of your juniors, and through that you're able to function effectively. So what are some of the techniques of planning materials? One of the major techniques is the material requirement planning. And material requirement planning is a computer-based system that allows production plan and inventory control system. So material requirement planning will enable the organization to be able to plan for the production and come up with various schedules that will ensure the production is up and running. So material requirement planning focuses on both production scheduling and inventory control. So as much as you are planning for your production, you also need to control your inventory. The other thing that we must talk about today is the components or the objectives of MRP. And one of the objectives of MRP is to ensure availability of materials, components, and products for planned production and customer delivery. So you're able to plan for your materials, and this will enable you to have good customer delivery, because the customer will be able to get the products that he or she wants at the right time. The other important thing is that it maintains the lowest possible level of inventory. So you're able to maintain your inventory levels through material requirement planning. This is because you're able to know what you're supposed to produce at what time and in what quantity. The other important thing is that it allows you to plan for manufacturing activity, delivery schedules, and purchasing activity. So MRP is very key, and it's one of the techniques for planning of materials. Thank you for listening.